talking about intimate and kind of deep, and the Baptist Town trip was with your daughter.
Yeah.
No doubt, a highly personal time. It's the home of the blues in essence, arguably, traveling with your daughter. Can you share a little of her thoughts and your thoughts about that trip together? Obviously, it's very personal, but anything that you can share about how she found that as a father with a little girl, how you found that, how she found that, being together doing such an intimate trip.
She had come to me, and you know, in the States, a lot of people, when they graduate, they take what they call a senior trip, and some of them go to Italy, some of them go to New York, some of them go to wherever, and she goes, I want to do a senior trip. I'm like, she goes, I want to go with you. I go, where do you want to go? She goes, I want to go to the South. And so I took her to the South, you know, because she plays guitar and she writes these amazing songs. She's working on 2 records now, and she respects the blues, and she knows about it from being.
What's her name, Mike?
Lindy Eldred. Yeah.
Lindy, so we'll check out Lindy Eldred.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good. And so she, you know, when we went down there, I wanted to show her all the stuff, and we would go down. We went down to Tupelo, and we went through Atlanta and all that stuff. But we got down to Mississippi. I really wanted to go deeper into Mississippi, and so I looked up where Robert Johnson was killed, and there's 3 places where they say he's buried,
sure.
but one place where he was killed.
Exactly.
And so in 1938, you know, a black man down in Mississippi gets killed. They're not going to drive him 3 hours to bury him. They're going to bury him right there. That's why it was the best chances for there. And so once we dug into Baptist Town, and we went down there, and I met everybody. It was you could tell that this was a place. And we actually talked to a guy who goes to the same church where he's buried at, and his friend's husband helped dig the grave. And so
that's pretty personal. Yeah.
So, but for her to go down there and see all that, it really impacted her too. And so, anytime I go down there now, she's going, I'm going too. You know, she's like, I want to go there too. Is
she a professional musician? Can she afford to do that? I mean,
she's not. She's not doing it full time. Okay. She's doing it part time right now.
Yeah.
But you know, she takes the time off from work to go do that and all that.
She makes the time to do it. Very, very cool.
But it's a huge impact on her, and it's like the cemetery with all about Julia and stuff. She's the one who turned me onto that movie Nowhere Boy, and you know, and it's like, wow, you know, it's like to realize the depth of that stuff. She's really into it. So anytime I do anything that's like this, you know, she wants to be involved. My whole family wants to be involved, but Lindy is really, you know, she's really focused in on the blues, and she really is focused in on history and music.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Challenges of having a trio. You're the only permanent member insofar as you may only play with the other 2 guys, but they're doing, obviously they're professional musicians.
Yeah.
Jerry and John fulfilling their commitments, you know, Brian Setzer and that whole thing. Does it sometimes dictate the rate at which you get stuff done? You know, are they available, are they not available? How does that work?
Yeah, Jerry doesn't play with us anymore. It's Brian Fahey. He's the permanent guy.
Okay, good to know.
And Brian Fahey plays in the Paladins full-time still. And John Baz plays in the Blasters full-time. So I got to juggle their schedules. And sometimes they can't make it. And then I have another set of guys that I use. I use Kip Dabbs from James Enfield on drums sometimes. Or I'll use another guy named Chris Smith who plays bass. I'll use him on bass sometimes. It all depends, but we just got to juggle everybody's thing, and they're into it. They see what I'm doing. They're real supportive. You know, they make time. They didn't need to really be out here this week or these last 2 weeks, but they said, you know, we want to do it.
What can we do?
So
what can we support you? Guest players on the album. I mean, it's one heck of a lineup, and it's very diverse too.
Yeah.
Sure, you've got the global guys, you know, the global phenomena.
Yeah.
You know, you've got John Samora, obviously John Mayer, Robert Cray.
Right.
Can you talk about some of the highlights of recording with those guys? You know.
Yeah, I mean, John, you know, John Mayer, when he, you know, we had talked about it, and he had heard that Robert was playing on the record. He goes, well, I want to play on it. And I go, oh, okay, you know, let's figure that out. And so. I figured out one of the songs that he could play on it, and he goes, well, where do you want to record it at? You want to do it in LA? You want to just send me tracks? You want to come up here and do it? And I'm going, you have a studio there? And he goes, yeah, I have a studio here. Why don't you come up here and do it? So I flew up to Montana, his house, and I spent 3 or 4 days there. And I thought I was only going to spend like 1 day there. I'm pretty much come in, do it, leave.
Yeah.
And John's like, no, let's hang. So we hung out, and you know, we just did it, and then drove around and ate good food and hung out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I kind of mentioned all the guys came down to Sun City. You talk about John Mayer. How do you coordinate, like who's going on which track? And okay, you knew about Baptist Town, you wanted Robert Cray on that one.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I guess with something like a shuffle, that kind of Los Lobos thing, you know, if it's a shuffle kind of track, you might think, you know what, the accordion would sound awesome on that, the harmonica.
Right.
Was it just kind of very organic how you decide, hey, this guy would sound good on this?
I try to put oil and water together a lot of times, because I like to see that twist diversity thing. I'm kind of into that, you know. And like with David Hidalgo, I wanted, you know, his voice on that song Bess. I wanted that high voice, but I also, you know, wanted him to play accordion on it, because the song is kind of, you know, when you play it, it kind of sounds like a little country shuffle thing, like a blues thing. But then, you know, when you put the accordion on it, now all of a sudden it's Zydeco.
Yep.
And it's kind of my conscious / unconscious way of telling people or sneaking stuff into people. It's like, say, you know, you like country music. I can show you how that comes from the blues. You like Zydeco music. I can show you how that comes from the blues or whatever it is. And it's that kind of a thing where it's just like, you add a different element, and then you kind of start seeing, whoa, you know, this is really, you know, if you listen to African music, you know, you go from the blues now, you take that, you can trace it back to African music, and you can hear that kind of
and putting
stuff.
that one instrument in, it's like, it's like this, and then suddenly the accordion comes, you're like, oh,
it ties it back where it came from.
Okay, yeah.
So that's kind of that, you know, that kind of thing. And I really like putting, you know, different colors against each other that don't normally go together.
Yeah.
I like doing that.
Kind of the palette.
Yeah.
Checking out different
That's
palettes.
why it's called a trio, but it's not a trio. When you see guest people on it, and like when we play in the States, you know, a lot of times there's 4 or 5 people on the stage.
Sure.
6 sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to my next question. How'd you go out and play as a trio? How'd you go out and play all, you know, you are a trio on stage, right?
Yeah.
Usually,
Yeah.
and yet you've got all that stuff going on the album.
Yeah.
How do you pare it down and like, do you just pick out one line and go for that, or do you try and play different parts on the one guitar?
Well, we try to keep the music trio based, and then if there's other stuff happening, then that comes in, you know, and all that stuff. Like some of the stuff like we did on the Baptist Town, there's a gospel choir backing me up. You know, we can't bring a gospel choir out really, you know, I'd like to, but we can't. But, you know, so you just kind of, you sing those parts by yourself. And, you know, I've learned by doing a trio that if you back up, it sounds bigger. So it sounds like, you know, it's more spacious. You know, when you do the whoa, when you do that farther away from the mic, it sounds bigger.
There's a clip of you doing that in Sun Studio, that very piece that you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's you and Jernigan.
Yeah.
He's in the foreground,
Yeah.
you're in the back.
Jarvis, yeah.
And I see you leaning away.
Yeah,
Now I
yeah.
get
You want to
it.
get the room a little bit more, you know.
Okay,
And then it even works here, you know.
Papa Legba.
Yeah.
So obviously there's the Robert Johnson connection there, or allegedly. Some people say there was the devil, some people say it's Papa Legba. How's the world of cookery going?
It's
or
going
ingredients
good.
and cookery. And
It's going good. It started off just making beef jerky and taking it on the road and eating it for the road food, because you don't get to eat a lot when you're out doing this. And then we started, and then, you know, somebody in the band said, you know, you should start selling this, because we were selling a lot of merch. You should sell this. And so we packaged it up. I had already done the record. Papa Legba was on the record. And so my daughter, Macklin, she said, you should call it hoodoo jerky. And so we started calling it hoodoo jerky, and we packaged it up and we started selling it to gigs, and we were selling more jerky than we were CDs. And then we made Love Rub, barbecue rub, and now we sell that. And on this tour, I'm sold out, sold it all. And then we make aprons. We roast our own coffee. It's crazy.
It's brilliant.
And now we have a website and we're selling all this stuff. Hoodoo Barbecue, hoodoobbq.com. You can go on there and you can order it there.
Will do. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.